want to do with this? Is it okay if I sit here? You don't need me at a podium, do you?
No, I can hear you in the back.
Okay. And then if you need me to repeat something, just let me know. I'm pretty loud mouth usually, so. So I'm saying, is she here? I know that was a lie. Is that better? We'll just go with it. Actually, there's is her camera on here? Because is she gonna walk out right then? If I move this close to me.
There she go.
Thank you. Okay. Is that good enough for you guys? Okay. So, again, I know that was a lie. I recorded that because I stumble over my story often, and so that was 23 minutes, and that exact same story would have taken me 45 minutes because I would have stumbled over my own words. You got it? So we're going to talk a little bit about lessons learned and how this happened, moving forward. You done? Well, I'm going to move that on the screen. Take it down the slide. So what do we learn? I think that one of the more important things is to remember is that hindsight is 20/20, right? So I heard someone say in one of the motivational speeches that I listen to quite often that everything that I am going through right now is something that was manifested from a seed planted long ago, right? So everything that I'm facing today, the seed was planted before, right? So let's just say I went to Vegas and blew all my money, and then lights got cut off today. I planted that seed, right? Now, am I the person that always plant the seed? That's not necessarily true, because when you think about natural disasters, you plant the crops, you're planting the seeds, you're expecting a harvest, and then natural disaster comes. Well, whose fault is that, right? So, we do have to account for certain other things that's going to happen in life, right? So when we talk about hindsight being 20/20 and like things that could occur that would cause a woman to deliver her babies too soon, right? So when we start talking about, I had to get used to her. My laptop is different. When we start talking about stress and things that kick a woman into labor. So what are social determinants of health? This is a very important thing because this is stuff that we don't regularly talk about. And I feel like we should, especially the women in the room, but getting to know our own bodies. Like, we grow up with this amazing story of how life is supposed to be, right? We're supposed to grow up, get married, have some kids, and, you know, live happily ever after until we can get some grandbabies out the deal, and then we just raise them and spoil them too. Nobody taught us really, like they taught us the birds and the bees. They never went into the intricate details of what childbirth really is, right? And we just think, you know, we just gonna have some babies, and we know it's gonna hurt because something about an apple and Adam and Eve, and, you know, we're being punished, right? We all know that, but we don't know all the intricate details of what it really means to be pregnant with a child, what kicks us into labor, and things like that. So what are social determinants of health? There are conditions in the environment where people are born, live, work, play, worship, and age that affects health. These include things like financial stability, where you work, how much money you bring in, educational access. Can you go to college? Can you go to high school even? Healthcare access. Are you able to get to a doctor? Neighborhood and your built environment. What neighborhood do you live in? What does it look like? Is it safe? Do you feel safe? Or are you traumatized by gunshots all the time? And, you know, those types of things. And then social and community networks. So those 5 things, and this was taken out of the Healthy People. I put that link there, and I'll send this is a PDF. I can send this out to you guys so that you can see all the sources and resources. But these are social determinants of health. And I feel like I didn't learn any of this until after I lost Christian and Jaden, right? Because after I lost Christian and Jaden, then I decided that I needed to work in this field, because how did this secret get kept from me, like that we could possibly lose babies, especially black women, you know, at a rate 4 times higher than our white counterparts. Like, I didn't know that. Why is that the worst kept secret? So I later went on to work at the March of Dimes and started really learning this information and really just flabbergasted at the information that I learned. Like, so social determinants of health is a real thing, and it's probably more important than any other health metric, right? Because where you are in community, so if you do things alone, it's different than if your best friend is with you. Or if you are coming out as lesbian or gay and your family isn't supporting you, it's different than if you got a mama that's like, I don't care, you still dope in my book. It's different. Community is everything. You need your community, right? So if we're gonna do anything together, it's gonna be 10 times better than me going to do it by myself. That's the important piece of the social determinants of health. How much money you make. We cannot live in poverty and expect to be okay, right? Because everything is going up in price, and you can't expect to have a good quality of life if you can't make a livable wage. Social determinants of health. Where you're gonna be able to send your kids to school. Because maybe I didn't go to the best schools, but when I look at my children and I'm like, they deserve better than maybe what I got. And that's a feeling that you're gonna come into every situation with. It's very important. So your social determinants of health is really controlling a lot of what your stress levels will be, right? And so when we start talking about stress, like, do we really know how pregnancy works? That's actually my pregnant belly up there. We took that picture pregnant with Kaden and Cameron. And it's one of my favorite pictures. But what do we really know about stress and pregnancy? This is a cute speaker, right? I'm gonna use it for this example. Is that an empty Gatorade? Yes. Oh, let me get that. That's even better. So to be able to demonstrate, and I hope they can see me. Yeah, they can see me. To demonstrate how stress works in pregnancy, I'm gonna use this. Let's say that this is pregnancy. This represents pregnancy. Make sure that this is out of the way. And then you guys are monitoring the chat. You can see if someone is saying that. Okay. All right. So this is pregnancy. This orange top is labor and delivery. fertilization. This is where we start. Okay, so if this is the level of stress that takes to kick a woman into labor, because we know this, that stress, there's a point in the woman's body where the stress kicks you into labor. So this is the stress level. Now, white women have a regular baseline stress level, say, here at the G, at the top of the G. That's a baseline stress level for their everyday stress level, right? And they're starting down here at pregnancy. They are coming up, the bigger they get, the further along we get. We keep going, we keep going, we keep going. They're at this baseline of stress. They got this far to go before it kicks them into labor. So they're good. They got all this time to go. Now, black women, brown women, and other minorities, our baseline is not that low. Our baseline stress level tends to be kind of up here. And I don't maybe want to get into the reasons why that is. I'm pretty sure I could probably ask you guys why. And you guys can spit out a couple things why that could be. But if our baseline is up here, and this is the level of labor and delivery, we have a shorter way to go to get to delivery based on our stress level. But we still start down here with the pregnancy, right? So as we get further and further along, and we get closer and closer to our stress level, it just keeps moving up, and we deliver babies early at a rate that's 4 or 5 times higher than anyone else. But this is why, because it's stress that kicks us into labor, and we have a shorter while to go to get to that labor and delivery based on stress alone. So I know someone was in the chat saying that they lost because of stress. And this is why. Because when we are facing everyday trials and tribulations, it's different. The fairy tale, we got married, we're gonna have a baby, the fairy tale rarely exists in minority homes. Most of the time it's, we didn't even plan it. It's just, bloop, here we are. So, that's a quick, a real quick rendition of how stress and pregnancy and early delivery occurs. So what are different ways to be able to handle stress relief? Well, one of my names is Renegade. But I'm a personal trainer, and I truly believe that heavy lifting cures everything. That's just my belief. Heavy lifting cures everything, but it definitely gives you an outlet for stress relief. Cardio, yoga, especially. So healthy eating, the reason that I put this on here as a stress reliever is because when you're eating and you feel better based on what you ate, you're not eating junk. You're actually eating healthy food, whole foods. Your macros are accounted for. Your body is able to absorb all of the nutrients that it's supposed to. It feels different. And it makes your day go way better. Like, I'm a bodybuilder and a competitor. And when I'm off of a meal plan, which I am right now, I ain't seen a meal plan in a minute, but when I'm off of my meal plan, I'm miserable. What am I supposed to eat next? Like, I asked for a meal plan. I just got a new meal plan. I'm like, dude, you have to give me a meal plan because otherwise I'm not eating all day long because nobody told me what to eat. So I really just need that. Meditation, very important because, again, life doesn't get much easier for us. I mean, we look at the times that we're living in. We're talking about COVID right now. Look at the times we're living in. It's not getting easier. So those are things that, ways in which you can relieve some stress. The Renegade Lifestyle Program, I really just put that in there because it's one of the giveaways and I wanted to tell you about it. It's a journaling program that we developed that helps you to move and I know you really can't see that, but helps you to journal your way through a lifestyle change, and that's whatever lifestyle change you're looking to affect. That is anything from, maybe it's fitness, but maybe you're trying to cross over from working a regular 9 to 5 to being an entrepreneur. That type of lifestyle change, and how everything is stemming from childhood. When we live the lifestyle that we live today, it's learned behavior, right? So what are the things, like if we take eating, for example, why do you eat so much? Well, when I was a kid, my mother told me that if I didn't clean my plate, that I was going to sit there all day. So I eat everything in front of me, whether I'm full or not, because that's just how I grew up. Those types of things. So that is how that program is. Very important. Every sport has a coach, right? So if you go to basketball, football, track, there is a coach involved. So why do we shy away from therapy? Like we don't need help. But we'll go get the help for basketball, but we won't get the help for grief, right? So, and I put that in there as on purpose because the Christian Jaden Project, we do grief recovery method, but I gotta tell you, the rest of that video, I'll send you the link, but we talk a lot about how, again, community. Someone came to my house, my good friend brought her husband to talk to me and my husband, and they said to us, y'all gotta get some therapy. And we was looking at them like, what? And her black husband said to my black husband, dude, take your wife and get some therapy. It's really the only way in certain circumstances that something like that could occur. It has to be somebody you know that says to you, this is what I did, this worked for us, y'all gotta try this. The only reason why we would get up and go to not grief recovery, but we went to grief therapy together. We got to grief recovery much later. But we started a long journey of tons of therapy sessions, groups, so on and so forth. Really, really helped us. Again, hindsight is 20/20. If there had been no Christian and Jaden, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you right now as an entrepreneur even, or as a bodybuilder even. I don't think I would have taken that journey. As a grief recovery method specialist, I would not have done those things. But again, it took close friends to say, this is what needs to happen. The Pregnancy and Infant Loss Society is, I did not mention in the video, but I'll tell you here that I am the lead parent for the county for the Pregnancy and Infant Loss Committee. We put this committee together to tackle infant mortality, of course. But the parent group, which I am honored to lead and execute on so many different things, is where you find safety and kindred souls that you can be around if this is your story, right? So we put on events like the Wave of Light, which is the candle lighting ceremony every October 15th. Other sip and paints, non-alcoholic, of course. And then coffee meetings and things like that, where you can just be around other people that is okay with your story. Because sometimes that's the hard part. It's not that we get together and boo-hoo and cry all the time. That's not it. But say you have a breakdown. Nobody in that room is going to be like, oh, what's wrong with her? Which is what you get sometimes when you're with your family. So, especially during the holidays. So I know that was a lot, but do you have any questions? Go ahead.
Is Cuyahoga County the only county you guys are?
Well, that's the county that we're in. We service everyone. So let me go into a little bit of more detail.
Okay.
So yes.
Repeat the question out for me.
Oh, I was asking, was Cuyahoga County the only county where you guys are
Pale Society.
Yeah.
Okay. When we put together Pregnancy and Infant Loss Committee, we executed on several things. One of them, and it's Cuyahoga County, but we service anyone. We target black families, but we service anyone, right? We put together what we call the Our Wellness Network, or OWN, O-W-N, OWN. We put together black therapists and other parents like myself, and counselors, and we put them through grief recovery method training. We went through grief recovery method first, and then we went through the training, and we're all specialists to be able to help other families and groups. And that network services Cuyahoga County with grief recovery method services. Okay, and through that, the county actually pays for the service for you if you live in Cuyahoga County. What county do you live in?
Well, no, I live in Cuyahoga, but I'm thinking about somebody that's close to me who just suffered a loss.
And what county are they in?
She is in Sandusky.
Sandusky. So here's what I'll say to you. I have the links in here,
Okay.
but here's what I'll say to you. Send her anyway.
Okay.
And we'll get her to where she needs to go.
Okay.
So the person that mans that line is Danielle Goggins. Oh my gosh, she's the most amazing counselor that I've ever met in my entire life, and she knows exactly what to do. And we have actually serviced people outside of Cuyahoga County.
Okay.
You know, it's just depending on what the situation is, what the money is looking like, and all of that good stuff. So yeah, by all means.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Are there any in the chat?
There aren't any in the chat.
Question? Okay.
Does anyone have any questions that are virtual? Please feel free to ask away.
And while they're waiting for that, here are some resources and websites. The Renegade Soul is the personal training website for me. The CJP.org is the Christian Jaden Project, where you'll also find more information on grief recovery. And then if you want more detailed information on grief recovery, you can go to griefrecoverymethod.com. It's nationwide. It is quite excellent. I don't know, I didn't go into a lot of detail about that, but the grief recovery method was the most thorough. And I've been through all of them. Phototherapy, all kind of therapy, one-on-one therapy, group sessions, Christmas sessions, Easter sessions, all kind of sessions. And the grief recovery method was the most thorough of all of the sessions that I've ever done. And which is why when they said, do you want to be a specialist? I'm like, heck yeah, because you know how many people you can help with that? And it's just amazing. And by the way, I'm a master's level social worker. And y'all snobs, all of y'all. And so
Work hard for that.
and I mean, we do what we do, but I would still prefer grief recovery method over anything else. So, were there questions in the chat?
There is only one question, Sam, and it says grief recovery, is that for adults only?
Yes, it is for adults only. However, we have a program called Helping Children with Grief, but it is for adults to teach adults how to help their children. So we don't see anyone under the age of 18, but we do teach parents how to help their children through grief. Yes. So it's a flip side. We have a pets loss program, everything. So it's all on the griefrecoverymethod.com website. Yes.
So you just sort of answered my question. I was going to ask you if the grief recovery method and this program for adults to help their children, if that would apply to other forms of grief and other losses.
Girl. We don't have a lot of time. In fact, we probably need to be moving into yoga because then we're going to go over. But here's the thing. I was mad when the Pell group put me in grief recovery without telling me what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like one of the, here, let's throw the parents in there real quick and let's execute that way. So I didn't know what I was getting into. I thought I was going to another regular grief group. And it's nothing regular about this. So when I got there and I was like, wait a minute, I'm here for child laws. Why are we sitting up here talking about that time I lost my keys? And because I lost my keys, I missed an appointment and didn't get this job. I didn't realize that was a grief point. Because I thought I was so stupid and I lost my keys. I didn't realize it. That's how thorough it is. You know, you just kind of sit there like, somebody tricked me into this. And I called Sabrina after that. Y'all tricked me. I don't appreciate this. She was like, what's the matter? Yeah, it's pretty thorough. So it covers the whole gamut. And what we do is we continuously go back and work on other losses, right? Because what grief recovery method does is gives you tools. So we come up in grief from childhood. You know, I don't think we realize how young we are when we first start experiencing grief and first start receiving all the wrong information about grief, right? Goldfish dies, and the parent says, we'll get you another one. And what does that teach the child? We don't think about it like that, but what does that teach the child? That they're going to go on in life with this attitude of replace the loss, replace the loss, replace the loss. Which is what comes up with dumb things like I've heard during my child losses. Well, at least you're young enough to have more kids. And it's like, I'm not replacing this loss. What are y'all talking about? You know, those types of things and attitudes. So we look at grief as, when you're coming into a grief recovery method, we look at grief as, okay, we need to paint this room. And in order for y'all to paint this room, I'm going to give you a hammer, a bottle of water, and one nail. And y'all paint this room. How are you going to paint the room? But these are the tools that we give people for grief.
Yeah, it's true.
And so what grief recovery method does is give you the paintbrush, the paint, the tape. What else do you need?
Canvas.
The canvas. We're going to give you everything so that you can actually paint the room and then go and paint the next room if you want to. And then the next room if you want to. Because how can you paint the room with a dang hammer? I said I was going to watch my mouth today.
You did good.
Thank you. So, yes, go ahead. You have another question?
So it's a continuation. Personal fitness trainer, they're just saying one of your many roles or many hats that you play, you wear. Is it for bodybuilding only, or can it be for weight loss too? Also, the same parent said, I could answer for them, but they asked a question, so I want to say it. And then they said, I have been sad, but not exactly sure why. There are a few things going on in my life. I would like to sign up for therapy. I don't see any links for the follow, so please direct me.
Okay. Did I include any of that?
That's kind of hard to see, Gina, so I promised the parents that I will get
I think
that
that's the
consent and
last
send it to them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the last slide. Okay, so personal training is not just for bodybuilders. I am a bodybuilder. It took me 8 years to become a bodybuilder because I've been doing personal training for the entire time so I could lose weight, lose body fat, so on and so forth. So when we do heavy lifting, so we as women need heavy weights. My favorite thing ever is, I don't want to look like a man. And it's like, girl, you could look like a man if you tried, unless you started taking some extra testosterone. But who's going to really do that? But honestly, we need heavy weights if we want it. So the way that, I know we're totally out of time, but the way that weight loss works is men can lose weight so fast because they're mostly muscle. Muscle makes you lose weight. It burns fat. So you build muscle, it burns more fat. The more muscle that we build as women, the quicker we lose weight because it burns fat. So that is something that, another thing, so we're not really taught how pregnancy really works. We're also not really taught how weight loss works. So we're scared of weights. We think that's a man thing. And then we get into the gym and we find out the real truth. And then we're like, I'd have been did this, you know. And honestly, I'd have been did this had I known, right? But we train everybody. Any age. My twins are 11. They train every Wednesday. My oldest client is 63.
She's early 60s, headed to the mid.
Mm-hmm.
Living more than me.
Baby. And probably outrun you too if it wasn't for the knees that crack all the time. And she'd be like, Sam, I can't do this. Come on now. She's stronger than anybody, you know. And she's been doing this for a few years now. So, yeah. Does that answer the question?
We're not running out of time. We on their time.
Okay. All right.
She said that.
Okay. So the link to the so if they go to the CJP.org, grief recovery is linked on that site, and they can also go to, I always prefer that they come to me, but the grief recovery method has a slew of people. And then the OWN network. Is this person in Cuyahoga County?
Yes, and the presentation that you have, I'm gonna email it to all the parents as virtual.
But this person is in Cuyahoga County.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you send that person to the OWN network through paleconnect.org.
Okay,
And we will take care of her that way.
okay.
The person that you were talking about is Cuyahoga County?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, send her through Pale Connect. She may even get to me, but you know, let them know that they heard me speak, and they may just route them to me anyway. It's a hard story, but it is absolutely my honor and privilege to serve in this capacity, which is a gift that Christian and Jaden gave me. I didn't know it at the time. Again, hindsight is 20/20. I didn't know it at the time. I was so mad. You know, I'm Christian, and I was so mad at God. I was kicking and screaming, having a temper tantrum. And my husband just kept saying, he's a big guy. He can take your little temper tantrum. You'll get it together. You know, it's just like, why would this happen to me? And, you know, 12 years later, I can sit here and tell you, it hurt. It hurt like hell. But I guess I understand it because I never would have taken these terms had it not been for the extreme loss. I may not have even met Gina because I probably never would have went to grad school. You know, I was real, you know, complacency is a mug. I was real complacent where I was. And I didn't have to make any changes. And you know, sometimes you start making plans and God show up in your living room. Baby.
I think everything's happened for a reason, and I'm actually glad that I came today, and I appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you.
I didn't lose a kid, but my son got diagnosed with diabetes when he was 3 years old, so my whole life changed. You know, and through the grace of God, he's 18 now, and everything is fine, but the same thing. You know, I started a nonprofit organization called BU to help bring awareness to us as Black families with kids with disabilities that we don't hear about every day.
Yes.
You know, today I'm a registered nurse, but 15 years ago, honey, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yes.
You know, it took my son becoming sick and almost losing his life for me to want to be in that field, to be able to help another family.
Yeah.
You know, so today I thought I was coming here just to do some yoga. So I'm glad that I came here and I heard your story.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing yours with us as well.
Yes, yes.
And for me, I know one of the things that I always hated hearing was, I know what you feel like, because the exact same thing happened to me. At this time of my life, had my kid lived, she would have been 25.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have grief counseling. I had nobody offering those things to me. And it was a lonely place to be in. And I railed against God, like, why me? You know, I was doing everything right. But again, that's something I still think about 25 years later. it doesn't hurt as much, and I have two kids, now, 12-year-old and a 15-year-old. But just listening to your story, like, took me just
Yeah.
almost like it was happening again, those feelings, and just being so at a loss. That loss is great, yeah. And I hear people tell me, "Oh, you're young, you're gonna be able to do it again." And I know they meant well. I know they meant
It's
well.
a hammer.
But
They were
it's
given
just
a
like,
hammer.
yeah, just please get away from me.
Mhm.
Just stop talking to me.
Yeah.
I just wanted everybody to stop talking. So for you to share that, and I'm sitting there like, wow, like she said, I was just coming for yoga.
We
But,
tricked y'all into.
Yeah,
But
well, sometimes you have to trick yourself. you know,
Yeah.
and I purposefully made the title what it was, stress and wellness, because even to identify that you have stress is a challenge for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And I know if we would have put stress or let's talk about stress and grief even, right? So if y'all read the fine print, now I did put it in there.
Oh, no.
It's in the fine print, right? But if I made it the header,
Yoga's still there.
yeah, yeah. But if I would have made it the title and made it big and bold, the trickery that we own in ourselves
Yes.
would have said, that don't apply to me.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Yeah.
That's not me. I'm gonna sit this one out. I'll go to the next one.
Yes.
Right? It would have held us back. And so I wanted to see what happened. Right? Me and Sam both were in talking about what this presentation was going to be, talked about how I have a lot of conversations with parents who have experienced loss on some level, right? And again, I'm gonna say it until I'm blue in my face. We have been in a pandemic. We've been in a pandemic of stress. We've been in a pandemic of grief. We've been in a pandemic, right? Now that it is showing up physically, then there's action to be taken.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to ask ourselves, why does it take this?
Yeah.
Right, for us to move. We've been in a pandemic. And I hear so many stories about loss, about grief, about stress, and it is always my feedback to not only help my parents acknowledge that grief is stress, that loss is stress, that even new beginnings can be stressful, but I also encourage them to look at things that you have done great as well. I'm strength-based all the way, right? The fact that we are here at the age that we are, right, at the time of day that it is right now, in this country, we did something, right? Okay, so I tricked, but I didn't. I just didn't make it big. But it is time for us to start making this topic big in our life.
Yeah.
Right? It's time for us to start making it big.
The number one thing that I heard from when I do the grief recovery groups is that people say that, well, I didn't think I needed this. And then when I got here, I realized that I was grieving something something from a long time ago. I didn't even realize I was grieving that. And it's all the way true. We are 100% of us are grievers. 100% of us are grievers. And grief is a loss, it occurs from a loss of just about anything. It could be abstract things. It could be loss of safety. It could be, loss of trust. A partner's cheated or something. A business partner embezzled some money. It could be a loss of anything. This person that I trusted with everything betrayed my trust. Very abstract, but very grief worthy.
Loss of a job.
Loss of a job. Loss of another human being. Loss of a pet. There are so many losses. Loss of normalcy. Look at this pandemic. What is normal? We keep thinking that we're going to go back to normal. right now. Good. I was just telling another lady who came by, there's desks, these long desks from when the kids were home schooling. So my dining room got this table pushed over there and 2 long desks because twins got their space. And because they are now physically in school, it's crap all over those tables.
It's a flat surface.
It's a flat surface and they go dump everything on it, right? And it just looks a mess. And it's like, is this the new norm? Because I don't even know where any of that stuff goes. I can't even tell them to clean it up because I don't think it really has a home, all that crap. You know? Nothing is the same anymore. So, yeah, that's where we are right now. And since 100% of us are grievers, 100% of us could benefit from grief recovery method. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Paintbrushes for everybody. Let's get rid of the hammers, you know. So, any other questions? Did I cover everything you wanted me to cover?
Absolutely.
She was real specific. She tricked y'all, but she didn't trick me. She was very specific. Yeah, she was very specific.
I am. That's because I love you guys. I really do.
She really does.
I really, really do. And Gina and Daia love you as well. And it is our mission. It is our job. It is in our heart to serve them, right? And I'm bringing the best of the best.
Amen. Thank
Every
you.
chance I can, absolutely. And I don't get free compliments. Y'all know that. Y'all know that. But I'm bringing the best of the best every chance I can. And I am being intentional with sharing the best that I have with all of you. I think that's how we grow and that's how we heal. So do you want to pivot and maybe do one of the aspects of yoga, which would be meditation? You tell me what you want to still do within maybe the next 15 minutes.
Well, I mean, people came here looking for yoga.
Let's do yoga.
And I created a 25-minute flow. Is that okay? Okay.
Okay.
Well, then let's do it.
My virtual parents, give me 3 minutes to go down the hallway. Go ahead and get yourselves positioned at home. If you have a mat, if you have a towel, whatever you need, get into your space, and then I will tune us back on in about